As we get started with our discussion of Python, the first thing we want to do is get it installed. And I'd like you to do these exercises along with me so you're not just passively watching, and you may already have Python installed. It comes pre-installed, for example, on macOS and Linux. However, even though I'm running at macOS, specifically I'm running macOS Catalina, I still downloaded the version of Python that's current at the time of this recording. And one of the reasons is the version that comes with macOS, in my case, is version 2.7 of Python. And Cisco DevNet, they often use some flavor of version 3 in their examples, so I thought it might be a good idea to run version 3 as well. And there is a fairly significant difference between versions 2 and 3. Most of the basic things, though, that we're going to be doing in these videos, you can do in either version. But I chose to install what's current at the time of this recording, which is 3.8.1. Here's how we do it. We go to python.org, and if I hover over the downloads menu, there's an option for downloading Python 3.8.1 for macOS. You might have Microsoft Windows. There's even an option for other platforms. For example, we could go in here and see that you could even run Python scripts or edit Python scripts on your Apple iOS device, like an iPhone or an iPad. Now, before we go out and take a look at the Python interface, which is called the Interactive Interpreter, you might want to pause the video, get Python installed on your system, and then when you're ready, resume the video. All right, do you have Python installed? Well, let's take a look at it. I'm in the terminal window for macOS, and you can use whatever command line interface your operating system has. And one thing that I could do to start the Python Interactive Interpreter is to simply type Python, and that starts Python. But if you notice, it says that this is version 2.7.16. I just installed 3.8.1, and this makes the point that yes, we can have multiple versions of Python installed simultaneously. This is just the version that came with my macOS. So how do we say that we want to go to the interactive interpreter for a specific version of Python? Let me show you. First, I need to exit out of this interface. And by the way, if we're accustomed to entering a command like end or exit as we're exiting out of Cisco iOS configuration, it doesn't work the same here. There's a couple of options for getting out of this prompt. I could say exit and do an open parentheses, close parentheses, no spaces, and press enter. That will get me back to my command prompt. Or I could have done a Control D. Either one would work. But if I want to run Python version 3.8.1, I could say Python 3.8. By the way, 3.8.1, that does not work. I don't need to say what sub version of Python I'm running, but I can do a number, a dot, and another number. I just cannot go 3 digits deep. So I could say Python 3.8, and that's going to run the version that I have installed, 3.8.1. I'll do a Control D. Or I could have typed Python 3. I've only got one version of Python 3 installed, so it's going to run Python 3.8.1. And now we're sitting at this prompt with 3 greater than signs. We call this the interactive interpreter because when we type in a command, it interacts with us. It interprets that command we type in immediately, and we get a response on screen. Now, in our next video, we want to take a closer look at this interactive interpreter.